This video I'm gonna go over homework 1, and homework 1 was section 1.2 problem 3. So in homework 1 we are mainly focusing on understanding three concepts, which is fault, error, and failure. So what is the fault, error, and failure? Fault is a static defect in the software, which is a very straightforward concept. It's basically the buggy code in the program. And what is the error? Error is an incorrect state, internal state. So next question we should ask would be, what is an internal state of a program? So internal state for program describes a given point of a program execution, and what's included in the state of a program execution. So it includes the values of all the variables of the program and the program counter. So with this information available, you will be able to describe any given point of a program execution. And next is failure. Failure is also a very straightforward concept. A failure basically means external incorrect behavior. So in another word, it's basically just the incorrect output or unexpected output. Yeah, that's failure. So let's discuss the relationship between fault, error, and failure. So whenever you have a fault, it doesn't really mean that you are going to have an error for sure. And whenever you have an error, it doesn't necessarily mean you are going to get a failure for sure. Because even when you have an error, for example, when the program counter is going to a different place, it doesn't mean you're going to get a incorrect output. Yeah, we will go into detail about these cases in the homework solution. And so basically, fault doesn't guarantee you will have an error. Error doesn't guarantee you will have a failure. But if we come back the other way, when you have a failure, there is guaranteed there has to be an error. When you have an error, that is guaranteed you have to have a fault in the program. So this is just a good to know relationship between these three concepts. So if we go into the homework, we have 4 programs here. I'm going to mainly focus on the first program because once you understand what are these 3 concepts and what are the relationship between these 3 concepts, you should be able to work on these questions easily. So first program, find last. Basically, it finds the appearance of y, the last appearance of y in X, and return the index. So the fault in these programs basically this part, I larger than equals 0. So what this does is it didn't check the first element. If possible, identify a test case that does not execute the fault. So basically we want to identify a test case that skips the faulty statement. So here is the faulty statement or buggy code. If we want to skip this part, we have to somehow make the program jump over it or just stop before it. So here a simple way to do it is just basically make the program stop before you even go into that part, which you make X null. So whenever you make X null, the for loop is going to throw a null pointer exception at this marked statement, and the program will never go into the next statement. And is it possible that we skip this statement without having the program go into a exception or stop? I would say no. There's no way that you can just jump over this statement because part of the for loop is always going to be executed whenever the for loop is completely finished. And next question is execute the fault but does not result in an error. In this specific example, and you guys should all have the solution for this question. So for the third question, which is execute the fault, it doesn't result in error. So here, for example, we have 235 and y equals to 3. The reason that it didn't go into an error state, the reason that it executed the faulty statement is basically it went into the for loop. And of course, this part has to be executed before the program can go into the for loop. So the fault is executed. But how come there's no error state? Because 3, when you search for 3, the program already stopped here when it found the 3 at index 2. Because it stopped here, it never went on checking the first one, which it wasn't supposed to check the first one. So there's no error. And the explanation is for any given input where y appears in the second or later position, there's no error. Also, if x is empty, there's no error too, because when x is empty, it is still going to execute this statement, but it's just not gonna go inside of the for loop and execute the remaining code and just go ahead and return -1. So next, execute. There's the error, but not a failure. So a good example would be here, 235. And what is the error here? First of all, let's see what is the error here. So basically, the program is supposed to start a search from the end to the beginning, and when it executes this test case, it was supposed to check 7 and 2. But it never did because of the bug. But is the result still same as expected output? Yes. So basically here you have an example as how the error is executed, but there was no failure returned. And the question E, for the given test case, identify the first error state. Be sure to describe the complete state. So here is asking what is the error state and how do you describe error state. So again, error state consists of the values of all the variables at that specific given point and the program counter. So if we go in here, the given test case is 235 and 2. And the error is where it was supposed to compare y and the first element of x, which it never happened. So the expected output is supposed to be 0 because 2 appeared at index 0, but the actual output ended up to be -1, which means there's no appearance of y in x. So first, describe the values of all the variables at that specific execution point, and then describe the program counter just before return -1. Basically means that it was supposed to go into the for loop and check y with the first element of x again, but it didn't. It went straight to return, and that is the incorrect program counter. So I would say that's it for homework 1. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to contact me through email, Skype, or stop by my office on Monday. Thank you.